Hello and welcome back to the award-nominated Flurry Sports Podcast. Yes, you know we've been award-nominated for what seems like decades at this point. You've known it as long as we have, which has kind of been the issue normally. Usually we get nominated for like the podcast awards in 72 hours or less turnaround. You guys got to make some magic happen, and then we lost to 30 for 30. Truth be told, I haven't watched the 30 for 30 since losing to them. I don't get it. It is what it is. Then we get nominated for Best Local Podcast from Volume 1. Again, someone should tell us, and didn't happen. Okay. Didn't have enough time. We lost to a banking podcast, Jake.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
The most exhilarating, not even that, a credit union podcast. It wasn't even a bank. It was a credit union. That's even worse.
I brought up to your mom, and she made a great point. I need them to investigate that, because I was like, yeah, we lost to a banking podcast. And she goes, yeah, but they have like employees that they can have. True. Like they just had their whole thing fucked.
And honestly, they could restrict people's bank accounts and be like, hey, to unlock your bank account to use your credit card, you have to vote for us in the best of polls. But I mean, I digress. We're nominated once again for Volume 1 Best Local Podcast, Jake. The whole Flurry Sports, fucking network essentially is
almost
at this point. Almost. I mean, we can get Playing Catch Up Podcast in there. All you gotta do is we can get it in there.
It's fueling Pete. I kind of like it. Yeah, I think we leave it, and then next year we'll really feel like we earned it.
Yes, we need to light a fire under Pete's ass. We need to get him to start promoting the podcast in a positive way, where it's like you don't listen to this, but like no.
He still thinks he's doing it for you. He's like
just me.
Yeah. He's like, Zach needs a baseball podcast, so I'll do one. Like he's like playing it down. Like I'm like, no, it's like. We're doing it for fun. But it'll be good. Also, you can only vote for 3. So already you got to pick your favorite kid.
Is that true?
That's true. You can only vote for 3 in a category. So you've got the Playing Catch Up podcast. Oh, no, that's the only one you don't have. You have this podcast, the Flurry Sports Podcast. You have the Lombardi Sweep. You have the Fantasy Football by Committee podcast. And hasn't gone to their head at all. I Don't Think So podcast.
Wow. They say it couldn't be done. But if you would like to vote, and I implore you to do so, and you can vote as many times as you have email addresses, which is, I also implore you to create new email addresses, branch out a bit. It's fun. There's nothing more fun than creating some email addresses and voting.
Please help us win.
Please.
It'd be so fun.
I promise you, I'll promise you 2 things. One, if we win, we will go to the live award show and we will film the whole thing.
Yeah.
We will be jackasses. We shouldn't be there, and we will make that known. 2, if we lose to that banking podcast again, I'm going to end this show. I'm not gonna do this anymore. We can't do that. That's not okay.
I won't make that promise.
Hey, something's got to change. There has to be stakes.
If we lose, all right, let's say this. If we lose to the banking podcast, Hannah and Emily will host an episode of this podcast. Get it right back on its feet again.
I don't know if that's a threat or if that's something people want. I also will say if we lose to them, that'll be interesting.
It'll be awesome. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I would say I implore the people, when you vote, make this show one of your votes. Yes. And then for chaos, listen, I Don't Think So out of those 4 options doesn't have a photo. It's not going to get random votes. Like the people need to power that one. So I'd say pick those 2. But this podcast, we've been around the longest. We were snubbed. Yeah. No one's ever told us. We're telling other people now. It's our time.
We have time to vote for this time around, and we have until December 8th to get our votes in. To do so, go to volume1.org. That's 1 spelled out. So volume.org/best of. You'll see all of the awards that you can vote on for the Chippewa Valley. Go to media and info, and under that, I think the 3rd option is best local podcast. All of the podcast are there. If you would like to write in to see if you can get the banking podcast removed, it's Money Donuts podcast. If you'd like to get them removed from the running due to some sort of insider voting or some sort of deceivery, which I do not want. I do not like that. But go there, vote for our podcast. Again, you can sign up with your email address to vote. They're not going to spam you with a bunch of weird shit. You can log in with your Facebook, sign in as well to make it even easier. But yeah, please vote for the Flurry Sports podcast, the Lombardi Sweep podcast, and then flip a coin. Do whatever you got to do. Whatever you decide, vote for either Fantasy Football by Committee or I Don't Think So. Both of them very worthy, I will say. Some of these seem very interesting, but pretty much all of the other ones are news, religion, or banking. And I'd like to think we kind of do all three in one here with a little bit of sports on top of it. So, I mean, you know what? Here we go. We got until the 8th. So we got one more episode, I believe, published until the voting ends. Yes. We'll come with the banking. We'll do a little banking next week. That's fine. If that's what you guys love, apparently. We'll do a little banking, some money management tips next week.
I've got a great one. Don't spend money.
There we go. There we go. Maybe don't bank at RCU. How was that?
Some insider trading. No, that's good. Yeah. The McDonald's app. That's how I save money. I think my implore is that please vote. We thank you for doing so. This is always the time of the year where we get thankful. Wait, I said that like there's not a holiday for it. Like just us.
We just did it.
We're thankful. But thank you so much for listening. We do really appreciate it. If I could ask you to do one more thing. First, Zach is nominated in other categories. Best social media presence.
True.
Flurry, Fantasy Flurry.
If we remember, last year, one of the news anchors won it, and she took like a blurry, weird fucking picture to like celebrate. We can't let that happen either. Like,
you need to take a weird blurry photo to celebrate.
If I win, I'll do whatever you guys want. I had some ideas, all of them not good. I'll do anything. I'll do one post of whatever the people want. Yeah. It could be as bad as long as it doesn't get me banned from the platform. And I'm telling you, Twitter, it takes a lot. So I will do anything just because I think it would be funny. If you need someone a little bit more snarky representing the Chippewa Valley in this category, I think vote for me.
I think that's true. Do that. If we win the awards, we're going to wear our shirts provided by the I Don't Think So podcast to the award show. Flurry, host Flurry, because that's us. That'll be our moment in the sun. So we will do that. Also, if you are in charge of the podcast awards, where the fuck are you? Where's our invite? You let us in once. You didn't tell us we were supposed to be there, and then you didn't invite us back. So
that's a great point.
So where's our invite? And my final implore, there's a category. Most luscious radio voice. I don't want this to be an inside submission. You can submit it at home. It's got to be somebody else. Pete Osmond deserves this award. Him versus longtime friend Bob Bozold, who's won that award. He's rested on his laurels for too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, how many times does someone have to win an award before they shouldn't be in the running anymore? That's what we are going to find out soon, I think. Unless Pete upsets Mr. Bozold. And I think it shouldn't even be close, to be completely honest.
So funny. It'd be so great. So please nominate Pete Osmond of the Play Catch Up podcast someone and get that going. Get the get the people bumping. Because that category is just made for Bob Bozold. So
yeah, for sure. And I'd like to think the best local podcast was made for us. So let's show the people what they need to hear. And like last year, I assume, by the way, as soon as we get nominated, we see a little bit of a spike in listenership, people wondering what we are. And if you are one of those people 10 minutes in here, welcome. Isn't this the type of vibe you're wanting? A little bit too aggressive for an award? That's us. That's us. And we will continue to remind you to vote over the next couple of weeks here. Again, volume1.org/best of under best local podcast. Vote for us. But we got some other stuff to talk about. We got some sports stuff to talk about. We have some non-sports stuff to talk about. I should say we're recording this early Saturday afternoon. As we always say, never know what's going to happen on an early Saturday afternoon record. So we don't have that much NFL stuff, I should say. We do have 4 games already in the books, though, because of Thanksgiving, because of the Black Friday game. And Jake, after 4 games this week, I found myself saying, especially on Friday, because it was weird. I think it was a 2 p.m. start and just kind of an awkward ending to the day where it's like, it's not late enough to go to bed. I wanted more football. Give me another game. I didn't think there was enough, even though we had 4 games through 2 days already. We're going to have a Monday night game. So we're going to go Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. Obviously today's Saturday, a bunch of huge college football games. But I thought Friday needed at least 2 games. What says you?
Or at least one that's not in 2 in the fucking afternoon. Like, what are we doing? That had to be at least a noon game. I don't know what the hell was up with. I don't know if people feel that way. Maybe people like an afternoon game more than a noon game. I would rather take a noon game, I guess. But if you're going to have one, take a night game. Because if I'm going to watch bad football, I'm not going to do it at 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, I understand they couldn't flex the game, like change who's playing and stuff, but it didn't get me overly excited to be like, okay, let's see what Tim Boyle's got. Like, I wasn't overly excited. By the way, too, you can't tell me Zach Wilson's worse than Tim Boyle. We can't get that narrative going. No, what's going to happen if we just let Zach Wilson play out the season? Like, just do that.
I will say his practices must be atrocious.
Wilson or
Wilson's.
Well, I think his practices are good. I think that's the issue. I think he's playing good when there's no pressure, and then in the games it's so bad where he's sort of lost the locker room. So that's why I think they made the switch, and because of the fans, like, it's getting loud. But we have to remember, and I said this to somebody off air this week as well. We have to remember this wasn't the plan. The Jets got robbed of their plan. The whole thing was because people are saying to me, why is Zach Wilson continuing to be kept around? Why is Zach Wilson the starter? Why didn't the Jets just cut Zach Wilson? The whole plan was for Zach Wilson to have Aaron Rodgers like mentor him this year, and just so he could watch to see how someone actually leads a team and play. And, you know, he gets to see on the sideline. And 4 plays into the season, they were completely robbed of that. So he gets put immediately back in there. And by the way, though, he's also better than he was last year. So I don't understand the Zach Wilson hate, really.
No, I don't understand the hate. Well, I do understand the hate. When your defense is that much better than your offense, that's what's happening. Is like the Jets aren't a clown show. It's, oh my God, can anyone throw the football? Like, that's the problem is when you have what's seen as, I don't know if I agree with this, but seen as a pretty good backfield, especially before injuries, but pretty good backfield, good wide receivers, and a great defense, and you aren't good at football, it kind of paints a target on your back. And so I think that is where the hate comes from. I do think it's unfortunate. And I will tell you, there's one person to blame for this, and it's Aaron Rodgers. Because you may think I'm not blaming him for getting injured. I am blaming him for immediately being like, don't worry, I'm not out. I'll be back. Like immediately, everyone's like, he's done. And he's like, no. Maybe just mostly done. And so we didn't make any moves. We didn't do anything. We didn't go pick up Carson Wentz. We didn't go pick up and I'm not saying any of those moves are good, but we didn't go grab Flacco. Like, we didn't do anything because it was like, well, Rodgers is going to be back.
I think it's the exact opposite. He said that just so, you know, we need to stay afloat, and that should have behooved the Jets to make a move. Like that's exactly why you do make a move, where it's like, we just need to stay relevant until Rodgers gets back. And then they didn't make a move. So I think he actually kind of was like this. He gave them reasons to make a move.
I don't know. They're in a tough boat. They're in a tough boat because, to your point, the plan was we're not done with Wilson. He's waiting in the wings. And if that's your narrative, he's got to be next. I think that's tough, but I think it's tough publicly to be like, what they should have done in hindsight is come out and been like, no, he's not ready. We told you he wasn't ready. Right. We're acknowledging it. But that's tough because what they've kind of been able to do is it's not that he's not ready. It's that we have Aaron Rodgers. So, of course, he's got to sit because he's not better than Aaron Rodgers. But if you bring in Flacco, it's like, well, then he must suck if he's not outplaying Flacco. But that's what we should have done, is brought in anybody, especially with some of the replacements who have come in. And it's like, they could have went and got Dobbs. They could have went and got, a bunch of names who are now playing places who are doing good things. But I don't know, that Friday game was like the stroke for me of like, I told you this to off air, too much football for me. The NFL's got here's what I really mean when I say that. I love football. I'm at the point you can't throw a football game on TV and I'm just going to watch it because it's football. Okay. And maybe that's where I'm at with my fandom, but they threw Jets Dolphins on there like it mattered. It don't fucking matter. Like, I was like, what do you mean? And I don't know, maybe that's not fair because thinking back on it, maybe I was just disappointed in 4 bad games.
Yeah. I mean, on paper preseason, like it should have been a good game. The Dolphins did exactly what they were hoping they would do. Like, that was the thing. They're like, okay, Aaron Rodgers is going to be in it. We're good. Jets are going to be good. Hopefully the Dolphins can figure their shit out and be relevant. Fast forward to now, Dolphins are number 1, and it's the Jets that didn't, carry their weight. It should have been a good game. Some of the other ones should have been good as well. They just weren't,
True. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to be fair there of like, even a week ago, like, did any of the only game there that probably went as expected, like, yeah, it was going to be a blowout the whole time, was the Dallas game. Yeah. But otherwise, maybe people predicted the Packer game not to be close, but no way they predicted the way it was going to not be close. And I even had hope for the Seattle game in the second half.
Seattle was just so banged up. I think everyone coming in kind of knew those second 2 games were going to... Well, to your point, we kind of thought all 3 games could get out of hand. I know on Lombardi Sweep, I did the show myself. I said I thought the Packers would keep it close, but obviously Lions would win. Was my prediction. Yeah, and obviously it wasn't close, and the Packers won. I mean, everything that could go wrong did go wrong for the Lions.
Yeah, that was
which made it bad to watch.
True. Yeah, and there was like, as a Packers fan, like, I watched the whole game and it was fun to watch. But what a good point of like, all of us watched the game on Thanksgiving and we were like, awesome. Don't get your hopes up. Like, we were literally like, don't take anything away from that game. Because if you have been watching the Packers with a realistic viewpoint, like last show, I called them a jobber, basically. Yeah. I was like, they are a comedy act. This is what they're going to do. I think they're going to beat some teams they have no right to beat, but I don't think like it's clicked. I think the Lions played about as bad a game as they could, turnover wise, like fumbles, which I think are just so hard to predict. And some other pieces. And also, I guess this, to be very sports talky for a second, I don't think this is an overreaction. Because I've been saying it for years. A team cannot be consistently good and have Jared Goff at quarterback.
No, yeah. I mean, he's sort of exceeded expectations up until the past couple of weeks. But people seem to forget, last week they almost lost to the Bears. And then they lost to the Packers. So it's like the Lions, I think, are a little bit worse than people are, expected.
Well, they're worse than their record. That's part of it, is they somehow ended up at 8-2.
Yeah, they haven't played anybody, and you could argue they still haven't. They just, lost some games. But I mean, what you're saying about the Packers, I agree with, but it doesn't sound like you're on the internet, because many legitimate people
I have a Twitter account.
Yeah, I mean, good thing you haven't been looking then. Many legitimate loud voices in the Packers community, reporters, Ben Kurt, former Packer, who has
Yeah.
multiple shows now for some reason. People have been saying Packers legitimately could win out. They could win every single game the rest of the way. And it's like, I know the internet's going to internet, but boy.
They play the Chiefs next week.
Yeah, I know. Like,
that's stupid. That's not like I literally did that this weekend with the Vikings, just because if the Vikings schedule the rest of the way is booty, it's not. It is so easy. So like they could win out. I will say mathematically the Packers for sure can make the playoffs.
I know
someone literally has to. And I will say this is just Packer fandom. There are very few moderates. And I think this season of all seasons, the moderates have it. Like, we're a perfectly fine team. Like, I'll say this. Do I think they might make the playoffs? Yes. Because to start the season, I thought we might end up 7-10, and I still think we might end up 7-10. And that might be enough to make the playoffs.
It'll be close. They have to beat the Vikings because I think the last playoff spot's between those two.
And that might not be good enough, but I'm just saying if that kind of record is going to be a playoff team, then yes, I think the Packers have a chance. Now, you at home decide, does that make a good playoff team? I don't think so, but I just think with 14 fucking teams making it into the playoffs, like
too many.
We've hit the point where too many teams make it in literally every sport, which is a little wild.
Playing tournament for NBA, don't like it.
64 teams or whatever it is in the fucking March Madness.
True.
You know,
there's just too much going on.
There's too much going on. But that's the thing is, I think to the point of too many NFL games, I think sports take for granted what we talk about in the show. It's about a story. Tell me, I am not watching football. Even us who are very into the intricacies of football, I don't watch it for a good halfback dive, dude. I like watch it for the narrative and like the competition. If the games don't matter, I don't fucking care. So, so I just think football is getting a little like that, where I don't know if the NFL cares. I would be my most pessimistic take. I can't believe I think this, but I do a little bit. I think the NFL only cares about 2 teams this year.
Okay, which 2? Chiefs
and Eagles.
It does kind of feel that way.
I think they will be disappointed unless it's Kelsey Bowl. Which is a bummer because same. But like I just think that's what we've been kind of talking about though. Like, you heard, if you listened, first off, Collinsworth was on one in the Thursday night Seattle Niners game. I don't know if you heard that.
I didn't have that volume on.
Okay. First off, totally get that. That's fine. But one, they kept talking about, and I'm going to forget his name now, but the tackle who's 42, who's on the Seahawks.
Oh, Jason Peters? Yeah.
Jason Peters was like his calling card, his point. He got hurt. And then Collinsworth was like, I did it again. Like he's like calling his own spots. He's like calling it out. And he literally said in the game, like, I think this 49ers team bores people because they're just kind of good. They're not flashy, but like they're a good team. And I'm like, that's how I feel like the NFL feels about the Niners is, I guess they're good. Like, tell it to me besides Brock Purdy was an irrelevant quarterback from an irrelevant university. Like, give me something, you know?
Explain, honestly, just kind of explain the genius of Kyle Shanahan. Explain why they're so open on offense. Not that Brock Purdy completed another pass to George Kittle who has nobody within 20 yards of him.
Well, I don't know if this is true, but I do know that if this was any other team and any other player, they'd be saying it. So say it. Tell me that Christian McCaffrey's the best running back in the league. Talk to me about like the dominance of, he's like scoring. He's averaged 25 touchdowns in his first 25 games with this team. Like, what are we doing? Like, talk about that. Like, he's on average this season, like 2 TDs a game. Like, and I know that scheme, but like if that's, Alvin Kamara in years past, or that's, the Adrian Petersons of the world, that's the story. Like, why is this team not Christian McCaffrey and the boys or something?
Yeah, I think they're talking about it, but I think they're talking about it in the way of, oh, if you bet the Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown for the past 20 weeks, you would have made this much money.
Yeah.
And they're kind of and to your point, they're kind of crediting the system, not McCaffrey. Like, if you go back and watch each one of those Christian McCaffrey touchdowns, he's running through somebody on at least half of them.
For sure. He's and staying healthy. Like, that's, I think, the piece of the McCaffrey story that upsets me is, like, for years it was his fault that his quads exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And now he gets no credit for staying on the field, which I don't know if he deserves, but I also know that, like, it wasn't his fault in Carolina. Their blocking philosophy was just like Christian hit him really fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He weirdly is kind of one of the more underrated players just in terms of how good he is. And he's a legitimate MVP candidate because of everything we've just said.
Yeah.
Right. And he's at least in the odds, like he's up there. But I think you and I probably both agree that he has a 0% chance to win it.
Correct, as does any non-quarterback. Yeah, but him especially, I think he's got 0. But I don't know. Like, I felt that in a few games. Maybe that's a fun thing to do, like the narrative of these games. Like, what's the takeaway? Like, it's unfortunate of the injuries in Seattle because it's harder also in that circumstance to give San Fran their flowers. But, like,
yeah,
I think the storyline there is it's their time, right? Like, this is as well built a team as you get and has less of the luck of the build in Philly, I think. Like, Philly, there's a feature of, like, don't get me wrong, they're a well-run organization, well-built team, but they have pieces of, like, how did they get Swift and Brown? Like, how did that happen? Like, how did other teams allow that to take place? Their defense is homegrown and, like, well-built and kind of slept on, but, like, I don't know, that and, like, Jalen Hurts coming into his own and them keeping 3 out of their 5 linemen, I think, for about 10 years now. Like, those pieces are kind of fortunate and luck, whereas San Francisco seems so meticulous and so, like, we grabbed this guy from Iowa to put him in because we know what our system. We let Trey Lance and Garoppolo walk.
Yeah. And even with Philly, like, so the players they drafted, I feel like almost every time, like, a lot of their big players that they've drafted the past several years, it's like, it's the negligence of all the teams ahead of them. Like this year, they got Jalen Carter, and every pick that went by were like, why? Why is Philly going to get this guy? This is stupid.
Yeah.
That's just not fair.
And I don't know if I've seen that with the team. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a trade clowned like the AJ Brown trade.
Yeah, that was bad. There was, I don't know. That one made absolutely no sense.
I don't even understand the DeAndre Swift one. I know there's more merit to that, but, like,
agreed. People are clowning the Lions, then the Lions kind of look good at the end. I think that when everything shakes out, it was somewhat of an even trade.
Yeah.
Not an even trade. Like, Philly got a good deal, but everyone knows why Detroit did it now.
True. Now, yes, that's a very good point. Like, it came out in the wash a little bit. Yeah. But I think there's something to appreciate there. Like, putting your, like, also no credit given to the fact of, like, they said that during the game and I was like, fuck, I forgot they did that. Chase Young's on the Niners. Like, I was like, they're good, dude. They're so freaking good. Like, him opposite Bosa, who's like just definitely one of the top 5 defensive players in the league.
Yeah. Well, this trade is interesting. People aren't giving enough merit or, like, credit to this Chase Young trade, because the 49ers are doing something we haven't seen. What their defensive strategy has been the past several years that people have emulated, and it's not fucking rocket science. It's just like, if you can win with those 4 guys up front where you don't have to blitz to get pressure, then that's why their coverage is so good. They don't really have lockdown defensive backs and stuff. But now they're 5 strong up front, and we haven't seen a team be 5 strong. Like, they put Chase Young up there with Bosa, with everybody, and they have 5 guys up front and can create one-on-one matchups. And it feels like a zero blitz, like with the way they bring pressure, but they still have 6 guys on the back end defending. So it's something we haven't seen. And that's truthfully, that's the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the way you beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That's why they made that trade. Like, it's going to be insane if they can stay healthy. Chase Young, I think, got hurt in the game, so we'll see what happens. But this is one of those things where that trade could set off a new trend in the NFL, and people aren't really paying attention to it yet.
Yeah, I agree. And I just think in general, like, that makes me think of, because I feel like you've been banging the drum on, hey, everybody, the Ravens are good all year, of like, I think the narrative is that there are less good teams this year, and maybe that's true. But I think what's really happened is I think there are 4 not good, great teams. Like, I think the Eagles, the Niners, the Ravens, and the Chiefs are really well-built teams. And that's not counting Dallas, who I think you could make an argument for sneaking in, or the Dolphins, who dropped 70 on somebody. Like, they're obviously not as well-built, but, like, I think there are good teams. I just feel like that's the NFL is like, but are they as good as the Eagles and Chiefs? Or, like, maybe the media around it. And it's like, I think so. Like, maybe they won't beat them, but the 49ers are for sure every bit as good as an Eagles team. I'll bet against the Chiefs when I see it, which is hard, but, like, also the Ravens have been pretty damn good for about 5 years now. Only possibly derailed by the Diabetes King.
He's out for the season, Mark Andrews. That didn't even look serious, so that's weird. Eagles, will see what happens. Like, I don't think their offensive line is a top 3 offensive line, which is the first time we've said that in a while. So let's see what happens there. Dolphins, I think, are getting worse. I think the narrative around the Chiefs has swung to they're not very good now, though. And I know you see through it. I do as well. But, like, their offense is for sure not clicking. It's not playing very well. Maybe I'm just blindly saying this, I suppose, but I just feel like they're going to figure it out. And then once they figure it out, their defense is one of the better ones in the NFL too. And now their offense is just a normal Chiefs offense. So, yeah.
Well, I think what we're seeing, and don't get me wrong, like, I always borderline, like, it's not like they're losing on purpose, right? Like, they want to win all of these games. But I think there's a little bit of spurs to it of, in our division, we're not going to lose. Like, the Broncos are behind us at 5-5. Like, we're absolutely fine. We are going to win this division no matter what. So what do? What is the weakness of your offense? Your wide receivers, in my opinion, not great. You've basically decided we can use budget wide receivers, other teams' 3s and 2s, because we've got Travis Kelce, we've got Patrick Mahomes, and eventually someone will really click and it'll work. So I think they're trying to get him to click. But what I imagine is going to happen once we hit the postseason is they're going to start targeting Travis about 3 times, 4 times a drive.
Yeah, I would assume that's what happens. It seems like the safest thing to do. Bill Belichick used to say over and over again, like during their dynasty, that, you know, games don't really start to matter until after Thanksgiving. We won't know what team we are until after Thanksgiving. And, you know, I think that's kind of the same thing with the Chiefs. To your point, there's no pressure behind them. That was the whole thing with the Patriots forever. There's nobody else in the AFC East. So let's just get to Thanksgiving. As long as we're still in the driver's seat, we're good to go. Chiefs are in the driver's seat. I think their offense is going to get figured out. And like I said, their defense is getting slept on because of how poor their offense is. They made it to Thanksgiving. They're going to be fine.
They're going to be fine. Also, they've got 3 losses, and I'm only one of them is a head scratcher. Like, first week against Detroit doesn't count. Like, it just doesn't. It's early against a clear playoff team who was they were the first team to figure out Detroit was way better than everyone thought they were going to be. So,
right. Chiefs also didn't have Travis Kelce or Chris Jones.
And should have won.
Yeah,
The Denver loss is weird. I don't like 24-9 wasn't even a competitive game.
Mhm.
But Denver, as we talked about, they're the Raven of the NFL. You know, they're weird. Sometimes they get a push, sometimes they don't. You know, dude love's got to get his wins.
That's very true.
And then Phillies, Eagles doesn't count. Congrats, you lost to the best team in the NFL besides maybe you. Like, cool.
Sirianni got so cocky after that win too, and I'm just like, you don't do this to yourself.
This is how many times did you have to see the Colts beat the Patriots in the regular season?
Yeah.
Like, that is the plan. You don't want to win the first one. I know that's dumb, but you do not want to, because you don't want to show your hand. That was all I was thinking during that game, was like, Chiefs have got more in the tank.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. For sure.
So
I'm not worried about stops.
Oh my God. I'm not worried about them at all. They played the Raiders this Sunday, win. They play us, not us, but the Packers next week. If they played us, watch out.
I'm scrappy still.
Yeah, still, I like that. I don't know if we'd win, but I'm not going down without Kelsey's knee.
For sure. Yeah, I'll play dirty. I'm not too proud.
For sure. Good luck the rest of the season. But that's a win. I think they beat Buffalo. Like, that's tough. Sure, that's a toss-up. But you beat New England. You beat Vegas again. You beat the Bengals. You beat the Chargers. Like,
yeah,
they maybe end the season with 4 losses. Like, they're fine, everybody. So, I don't know. They're really fucking good. I do think eventually, like, tight ends age fast. That's not a diss on Travis. Like, whatever happens the rest of his career, he's a Hall of Famer. So, like, I don't know. I think sometimes people are, like, afraid with Kelsey, especially after this year, to be like, is he getting older? No, he definitely is. Like, he's not the same threat. And I do think it's wild that I think their most talented wide receivers, MVS. And I just don't think that's, and it's a toss-up. Maybe you say Pacheco. Like, but I think it needs to be better. I think they need a more clear one.
For sure. And they've tried. They've just swung and missed time and time
again. To be fair, they've been doing that since Dwayne Bowie. They are not good at producing. That was like the Alex Smith years of like, can we please get a wideout?
They had a year with Alex Smith where they didn't throw a touchdown pass to a wide receiver the entire season.
No, it was all tight ends. It's just crazy. And even Hill for a while, like, then he broke out, but Hill was kind of like a backup option. Like, Hill got you a lot of yards, and then all of a sudden it was like Mahomes kind of came in and figured out, I can just throw it 10 feet further and no one's going to catch him. But I don't know. I just think they never replaced Tyreek. And
they've tried. And
no, true. It's not like they didn't want to. So that'd be I guess, like, the armchair quarterback thing they need, but also they can literally beat anyone in the league. I don't know. I like the NFL still. I'm excited for post-Thanksgiving football, but if you keep telling me no one's going to beat these two teams, I'm not going to care when they do beat those two teams. Like, that's my thing, is like, you know what, be a bummer? I don't think I would care if the Bills beat the Chiefs. And that should be like a moment. Like, out of all the teams left in it, like, if the Bills knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs, that's like 5 years in the making and off of the Damar Hamlin thing.
Yeah, I have zero interest in the Bills, and I think everyone's kind of there as well.
I know, it's just any team. Like, it's like, I just don't know if they've done. I'll be bummed because you've told me I'm going to get Kelsey Bowl too. That's like, I feel like the marketing. But I don't know. I'm trying to get into it. Like, my big fear is I think there's some fun options if the Chiefs don't make it. I don't know how much appetite people are going to have for the Super Bowl if Jason Kelsey doesn't make it on the NFC side. Because I think that's what we're hearing is like, he got the show. I think it's all about like, let's let him win and like ride off into the sunset. So it's like, if it's a 49ers Ravens Super Bowl, like, people watch because it's a Super Bowl, but
I think that's the worst scenario because I don't think they're marketing, to your point, the Niners correctly, and I don't think they're marketing Lamar Jackson correctly. Yeah. I think the best case scenario is if the Cowboys make it out of the NFC. because I think people hate the Cowboys so much. That's the villain that the Chiefs need, because the Chiefs aren't the heel for whatever reason.
No, I agree. And I think you're probably right. That kind of caught me by surprise, but I think you're not that you were right, but surprising.
Blind squirrel.
Oh, finds a nut. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, are we just yelling random nouns? Whale shark. But no, because I said earlier in the season, I wanted the Bengals, which is now obviously not going to happen. I wanted the Bengals to knock out the Chiefs.
Sure.
So we got Burrow beats the Chiefs again, and we've got a heel for Philly to beat. But I agree. I think that's probably the best option, because I don't know. It's just not going to happen. But I mean, the other heel in the AFC is the Dolphins. So I would take that.
I don't know if people view them as a heel, though.
I do.
Other than me. I do too. But it's just because I hate Tua.
True. But I just think they'll be so cocky. I don't think you have to work hard to be a heel if it's the Eagles. So that's all I'm saying is, like, in that matchup, you don't agree, but I don't like their coach. It comes to no, Dolphins coach.
McDaniel.
I
like him a lot. In-season Hard Knocks just started this week, by the way, with the Dolphins, and he's great.
We'd be good friends. And that's why it makes me mad that he's succeeding so much. No, I don't know. Like, I just think I just don't love. Maybe it's Tyreek just poisoning the whole team for me, because I loathe him. But
by the way, in-season Hard Knocks, there's a whole scene with his now fiance, I believe, or maybe wife. But I'm like, oh, he's the one he didn't abuse. Cool. Like, we need to stop forgetting about it.
Dear NFL, Google him. It's bad. So I don't know. So I think that could be an option. Is like, I think they are a cocky team. So I think they would. Here's what I'll say. No matter what you think of them now, who's ever listening to this, I think if it was them, Eagles, they'd be the bad guys, and I think that's a role they would thrive in. So that, I guess, talking through it, is what I'm rooting for outside of Kelsey Bowl too. But to your point, I don't know if we get Kelsey Bowl if it's like a lot of people are going to be cheering for Kansas City, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, people don't like Sirianni. He's made the Eagles heel for sure.
I will, no matter what you think of Taylor Swift, and this is mostly towards you, Zach. If it's Kelsey Bowl, we got to get Usher. We got to get Usher the fuck out of there, right? It's got to be her.
Her singing?
Let's do it up. Let's just make a lot of money. Sometimes it's okay just to make a lot of money. And I think, like, if I turn into the Kelsey Bowl and then I hear, it's like, okay, this feels like I should be hearing Love Story,
I mean, what does Taylor Swift bring? Like, do you make more money with Taylor Swift versus anybody else?
Yes.
How?
Because anybody else, I don't know, more than Usher. She just is more of a draw. People will watch. Do you know how much money people paid just to watch a Taylor Swift concert? So, like, I just think you will make more money because she is more desirable to watch right now than Usher is. Like, my mom cares about Taylor Swift. She doesn't care about Usher. So she'll watch the whole game.
Did your mom watch the last Super Bowl?
No.
Okay.
She watched Rihanna. She likes Rihanna. But I just listen, maybe my beef's with Usher. Maybe I just don't think he's well marketable. But I think I think I'm not saying a ton. I think it could be a ton, but I think there are people who are Swifties who won't watch a whole fucking football game, who would watch and tune in for, like, because oh God, is she going to get mad when I say this? I'm going to throw Claire under the bus a little bit. Claire is a sports fan, more into football than I think most Swifties are. She doesn't watch whole football games. She waits for the TikToks to come out of Taylor on the thing. So I don't think they would tune into the Super Bowl just to watch Taylor, but they'd tune in if she was the halftime show.
I I for sure, I think there's a little bit, but I don't think it's significant.
Yeah, you're a hater.
Well, I just think everyone watches the Super Bowl. Everyone watches the Super Bowl halftime show.
That's your take. Oh, I don't know. Last year I didn't get to. Do you remember that?
I do. There was a situation.
Death threats. I had to go.
Witchcraft, death threats.
I forgot about the witch part of it. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't get to see second half. Yeah, that was wild.
The most expensive baby announcement of all time, I think, is what they're calling it.
I think that is what they're calling it. Well, Zach, any other football talks before we get to the bottom half of the show here with some stuff?
No, I got nothing else. I think we should get to our final couple things relatively quickly, though.
Let's do it.
Don't need to keep the people dragging along. I know you got something that'll make me angry about baseball. So let's do that.
I want to see if irks you as much as it irks me, because I just think it's the most GM fucking thing ever. The GM of the Cardinals, their pitching, by the way, Zach, has been bottom 5 in the league for the last 5 seasons. In that time, until this year, they've been pretty good. It's like, you just need pitching. Go get some pitching. Last year, they fucking sucked. They were really, really bad. But in the middle of that, Zach, they traded away 2 of their young pitchers. One of which, Jordan Montgomery, went and helped. He was like, I think, if not the MVP of one of the playoff series, was clearly the best pitcher for the Rangers in the playoffs. So he wins a ring. Nice job, Cardinals. Didn't keep him. So they had no pitching, and now they have even less. So they literally had 2 of 5 starting pitchers going into the offseason. Their GM, Zach, comes out and goes, listen, we know what the problem is. It's pitching. We are dedicated to get 3 pitchers this offseason. First off, you had to. You literally had to. Like, came out and was like, this is our time. We're doing it. It's like, yep, literally, yep, absolutely. It's like the Jets being like, we're exploring options at quarterback. You for sure are. You're right. Yeah. Like, way to go. 2, they said they were going to get 3, right? Cool. They immediately signed 2 old-ass guys on 1-year deals. They went and got old Kyle Gibson, who I love because he used to play for the Twins, but that tells you everything you need to know about his ceiling for talent. And Lance Lynn, who also used to play for the Twins. And the last time we saw him in the playoffs, I believe, gave up 4 home runs in 1 inning for the Dodgers. These are guys who eat up innings, Zach. They are old. Let me think of another sports comparison. It would be like the Lakers come out and they're like, we're gonna go get some starters, and they bring in, of course, J.R. Smith and Taj Gibson. Like, it's like, cool, great, like, Gibson. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, awesome. I guess they can play, but they didn't even try and get. And now they're like, their fans like yelled at them. The GM's like, whoa, we still got 1 more. And it's like, yeah, but like, we're not doing anything. Like, it's just the most GM thing ever to be like, told you, already got 2 of 3.
You're missing the big picture, Jake. There's 1 more left, and they're going for the big kahuna. Shohei Ohtani, come on, come to St. Louis. It's a beautiful place to be.
It'd be awesome, not least of which because he can't pitch this year.
Okay. Well, big picture, long term.
No, but it'd be awesome. That'd be so good because it would be great, and they'd be like, "Told you, 3 pitchers." Like, okay, one of them can't throw. But he's awesome, so we'd allow it. But listen, maybe they get it. But that's all their fans have been. It feels very tense because their fans are like, these losers. They told us they were going to get 3. They're not going to go get the 3rd one. And the GM basically came out and was like, you can't get mad at us before we let you down. Like, he's trying to like set a thing. Like, he's like, hey, that wasn't supposed to be the trick. You're supposed to like let the market play out. And then we can be like, oh, we tried.
Yeah. Hold your groans for now. Get ready. There's more coming.
Yeah, I just like, it's one of those things. I don't know why it irks me so much, but it's like when GMs set their own market,
Yeah.
It really pisses me off, especially when they're then like, why are you mad? And it's like, because you don't get to just say that's what our goal was. Right. That's like like baseball, by the way, kings of that. The Mariners GM came out. This is another winning line. He came out and said, our goal is in a 10-year span to have us is to win 60% of our games. Whose goal is that? Yeah. What do you mean? Your goal's to win a fucking championship. You don't get to come out here and just make up a goal.
Yeah. Hang the pennant, hang the banner, 60% win rate.
Woo. And yeah, I know. And also, yes, that is astronomically good. In a vacuum, it's also a future goal. What does that do for me?
True. Yeah, that's stupid.
That's the same thing when I hear, I don't know if this is too political, but I'm just throwing it out there. When people tell me we're going to save the planet by 2050, I don't know what that means.
No, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
What does that mean? What am I doing now?
How many points are we down right now? Let me know. Is this going to be the biggest comeback in history?
So that's true. Like, I don't know. How come we don't have a goal for 2025?
Yeah, it's true. No, let's push it down the road. Hopefully we forget.
Because I don't know if they grew up with Brenda Osmond, but if I tried to say I'd have my room clean by 2050, I think she'd kick my ass.
Yeah, just trust me. You can't complain now. You got to wait until then.
If I keep up this pace.
Mm-hmm. We're almost there.
Mom, I told you that I would clean up my room in a 3-day span. And on days 1 and 2, I folded my socks. So you can't get mad at me yet. That's the Cardinals, baby. I did it. Right. I got 2 guys. It's so funny to me, especially the literal, like, it'd be like after the Crosby left the Packers being like, we're going to get a kicker. Yeah, no fucking shit. Yeah. Like, you need one. Cool.
Great. I'm glad you acknowledged the empty locker in the locker room.
Yeah. I don't know. And maybe it'll work. Like, if they go get an ace, cool. But it just reeks of cheapskate.
Yeah. We'll revisit this in, 1 month when they start playing or something. True.
But Zach, you have a list for me. Yes. Critically, I don't know what this list is.
Right. So I got a list of things here. They're all part of one collection here, I will say. We'll end the show on this. I'm just going to read some things off, and I want you to tell me what this is, and I'm going to see how many of these it'll take for you to get it. Big list here, so I need to choose the right ones, but I think you can get it. My goal is 3 or less. You'll know what it is, okay?
Okay.
I feel pretty good about that. Let's start with I'm going to start with sort of an obscure one. It's Go Eat Worms. Any thought?
Go Eat Worms.
Yes.
I'm going to throw out that it's some sort of scramble of a name.
Okay. Number 2, Say Cheese and Die. Ooh, okay.
Hold on. Can I do the math on that? No. Okay, those are different letters. Okay, so it can't be my guess. Say Cheese and Die. Wait a minute. Why do I feel like that in particular is familiar to me?
It definitely is.
Say Cheese and Die. Are these band names?
No, but the next one that I have queued up would be a great band name.
That's all I thought the list was, for like things that we've said would be great band names. Okay, what's next?
Okay, The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena.
These are movies. These are Say Cheese and Die is the one I'm hung up on. Because what if I told you another one on the list is Say Cheese and Die Again? It's are these fuck, but which are they? These aren't Hallmark movies. No, are they Netflix movies?
I'm unsure if they're movies or not. It's a possibility that they were also movies.
Oh, this is the Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. That was one of them.
Yep.
These are Goosebump books.
Bingo. Yeah.
Yeah. That one was also tickling my brain because of how specific it was. I'm not gonna lie, you started with a great one because I just started ignoring goat eat worms because I was like, I can't place that. But
there's so many. I mean, The Wizard of Ooze, great. Goosebump titles are awesome. They're very fun.
Goat eat worms is not grammar. That's my favorite part of that one.
No, I have the list of all of the Goosebump book titles, and they go through some weird phases. There's one that's just, where was it? Dr. Maniac versus Robbie Schwartz. And I just want to know who Robbie Schwartz is. Like, that doesn't seem like it fits.
He works at a bank. Yeah, I don't know. Like, he's just a guy. I don't know.
After, like, the 160th title, I believe is what this means here, is just Claws. That's it. I think it's a Jaws spinoff because there's an exclamation point at the end. How I Met My Monster.
Funny.
Earth Geeks Must Go. Probably
I read that one.
Did you? Yeah, there's The Incredible Shrinking Fifth Grader.
Say Cheese and Die hit a part of my brain that I was not expecting.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yeah, what is that?
Yeah, there's one that's just, it came from Ohio. Oh no, that's the R.L. Stein autobiography. It came from Ohio.
I was gonna say I've read that one. This tickles the same part of my brain as saying Heath Miller's name.
True. The Blob That Ate Everyone. I feel like I remember that one.
Good one. What's the there's a puppet one.
Let me just see if
or maybe Mannequin.
Night of the Puppet People.
Yeah.
Very
Goosebumps.
Good. I mean, we're just going through the Scholastic Book Fair right now.
Which I love, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. Trick or Trapped.
The Night of the Living Dummy.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember that one, actually.
Well, I hope so. There's fucking 3 of them.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, definitely.
That's a great list.
It's a great list. There's so many good things on here. So many good things. I'm going to say, though, Jake, this is the end of the show because I hear my dog barking and I think there's someone here. So I'd like to implore everybody once again, volume1.org/best of. Go log in, vote for your boys, vote for 3 podcasts, including the Flurry Sports Podcast. Other Flurry Sports podcasts on there are Lombardi Sweep. I don't think so. And Fantasy Football by Committee. Definitely go check them all out. And we got 2 weeks. Next week, I promise, some money-making tips for you to one-up those motherfuckers from RCU.
There you go. IRAs are a trap. That's my tip. I don't know. It's what got us in 08.